All right. So let me get started with the meeting logistics. We are going to be recording this meeting. So we would ask two things. One, if you don't agree to be recorded, you probably should leave, and just in case any of the meeting is recording you. We hope you'll stay. And you have just a few more minutes to vote. And if you need to get a new ballot, it turns out Chris figured out how to mail you an alternate, a second ballot, but that's all she can do. So send her a note or put it in chat that you need a new ballot, and she can get that to you at the last minute here. We will save the interactive questions and most of the typed questions in chat until the end of the meeting, but we will get to them, and we'll stay late if that's helpful. And we really want to thank Jess Volk, and I misspelled her name there. It should be W, not V. Apologies. Thanks, Jess, for hosting us tonight, and we appreciate the Stourbridge Project giving us use of their premium Zoom license so we can do this meeting tonight. Jess is providing us a great deal of support technically tonight, as well as being a co-op member. So I want to call this meeting to order and welcome everybody who I didn't get a chance to welcome as we go. Here's the agenda for tonight. We're going to start with Chris giving the secretary's report, including having to approve last year's meeting minutes. We'll hear a short readout from the outreach committee, of which she and David are on, as well as several other members. And we have a question that she's going to bring up, and we want to hear your feedback. If not live tonight, we at least want to get your feedback sometime soon. Elena is our treasurer, and she's going to give the financial report. And then I'll come back on and talk about the Stourbridge Project and its activities. After that, we've got a special speaker, our own long-term co-op member, and now Wayne County Commissioner Jocelyn Kramer is going to talk a little about what the Stourbridge Project and solar and sustainability means to the county. Then Chris, who is our chair of the election committee this year, will be announcing the election results, and we'll get into all the Q&A. With any luck, we'll adjourn the official meeting around 7 o'clock, and we can stay over to do Q&A further if people want to. All right, so we will move on. Chris, you want to start us?
Did Chris send Chuck a ballot? There's a note in the chat. I just want to make sure somebody saw it.
Yeah, sorry about that. There were a couple people. I had the election go exactly till 6 o'clock. So lesson learned. Next year we'll have it go a little later, so it wouldn't let me do it. But that's okay. We had 36 people vote, so that's pretty good.
We actually are in Mountain Time Zone, so we're thinking it's 4 o'clock.
Oh, right. Exactly. Yes. Where are you?
We're near my cousin's house in Levita, Colorado.
Ooh, fun. Okay, so as far as membership, it says on the slide that we have 92 members, and it's actually up to 93. So that's good. And the minutes, the other part of my presentation would be the minutes from last year, and I had linked that in the email. But Jack, do you want me to share my screen with the minutes on there, or is that not a big deal?
Well, I guess if there's any, the way we work our voting is by consent. So if there is any objection or errors or modifications to last year's meeting minutes, please put that in the chat. If we don't see any, we'll assume the meeting minutes are approved.
Okay, that works. So yeah, so I think that's it for the secretary's report. I guess I'll let David talk about the outreach, and then we can come back to the other discussion issue.
Okay. This is David Persh. The major activities this year. Is there an echo? I certainly hear an echo.
Yeah, if Deborah, if you could go on mute, and that way only David's mic will be on.
He's on mute.
I'm on mute, but I'll get out.
So there was a new website that was produced. Thanks very much to Donnie Hoffman. And that was in order to try to transfer the website from one of the informative stage that was started 6 years ago to a more membership and outreach platform. And that seems to have been kicking in. And so we're asking all the members if they have someone they think might be interested in joining the co-op to give them the website address. That's cleanenergy.coop. And we'll see this time next year. We had about a 10% increase in our membership this year. It was a hard slog given global pandemic, but we certainly have great ambitions for 2021. We're hoping to double. So we're also asking, in addition to sending people to the website, find a friend, find a relative, and we're asking every member to find one more member, and let's see if we can't get this thing over 200. So that's one of that's a major goal. One of the things we did this past week was we ran one of the largest ads ever. There it is. That ran in the River Reporter on Friday, and you'd think such a straightforward ad would be easy to produce. It was quite challenging, but it was, we think, ultimately successful, and we'll see what sort of results happen over the next couple of weeks. And timed to that, we had an interview with Jack in the River Reporter, and timed to that, there was an interview with Jack on WJFF. So Jack has become a local celebrity for the Clean Energy Co-op. Now, sorry, we're sitting in the garden room and a rabbit just came up to the door to peer in. So
Oh, gosh.
we have three
Time to join the club, the co-op.
for the co-op, and we're going to give those away. So for the first 3 people who bring a person in, and they can get a t-shirt for doing so, or they can give the new member the t-shirt, whatever it is. We'd like to give away those t-shirts, but as a premium for a new member or 3. So please to reach out for that, and just let Chris know, and she can send a t-shirt to you. No, I think I have thanked Donnie, haven't I? I hope I have. So, I mean, the main thing is this year we had a 10% increase. Next year we want a 100% increase. It's not going to happen to itself. We're a co-op. Everyone really should sort of figure out a way to bring one more person into the membership, and we'll have a much bigger Zoom meeting, we hope, maybe even in person next year. And with that, that concludes the membership outreach report.
Thank you, David. Chris?
Well, this year, just a couple months ago, Jack was approached by some folks from Philadelphia, suburban Philadelphia, and actually 3 of them are here tonight. And they were interested in putting getting their municipality to put a solar system on the roof of the municipal building, and searched out the Clean Energy Co-op for some assistance. And Jack offered help, and they proposed, well, maybe we could just join as a branch of your co-op, which was something we had not really considered. And that is something that we would like to work on. We would definitely need the approval of our membership, and I think we would need to revise some of our bylaws and policies. The board can revise some policies on its own, but we need a vote of the membership to change the bylaws. But before we would even do that, we would hope to get a working group together that would sort of investigate a little bit about how chapters are done in other co-ops and what might work for us. So without going into it too much right now, I guess if anybody had a real opposition to it, we'd want to hear about that. And otherwise, if anyone wanted to work on a committee, that would be great if you could put your name and contact information in the chat, and we could move ahead with that.
Yeah, we've spent a lot of time in the past 6 years emphasizing community and local. So expanding our co-op in geography is somewhat different than local community. It's more about some grouping of communities, a cooperative set of communities. So there's a couple, there's many ways we could potentially do it. Chapters are one of the proposals, and we've got to explore what makes sense for us. Okay, I see some comments. We'll look through those. In the meantime, I'm going to go on. So Chris, why don't you look at that?
Yeah.
Elena, you've got the financial report next.
Hi, everyone. I'm Elena Probst, Board Treasurer. I have a couple slides here to go through. I know everyone's favorite part, the financial report. But right here on the first slide is the balance sheet, and just drawing your attention to a few things. As you can see, we are continue to grow in assets and projects, in members, and in revenue. So again, despite the toll that COVID-19 took on financial markets everywhere, our co-op remains to be a consistent investment choice. You can flip the slide, Jack.
There we go.
And then on this slide, you can see too, so that we were able to pay a 2% dividend to our preferred shareholders for the 5th year in a row. Our largest expense this year was the website upgrade that we have talked about, which again allows us to collect memberships online. So we think that that will pay back. The co-op this year paid Pennsylvania state income taxes for the first time since it was established. Part of this reason is because the depreciation from our first project on the Cooperage is running out. So our net income is increasing this past year and this year in addition. And so again, just like overall, we're growing, we're continuing to pay dividends, we're doing our part, we're doing our thing. And just finally, we welcome interested members to our finance committee, especially those who have QuickBooks knowledge. So if anyone wants to help out and go further into this, please let us know. Thank you.
Great, Elena. And if anybody's got any questions, type those in the chat and we'll address them as we get to the end. Financials, given we're a kind of an investment cooperative, the financials are relatively important to make sure everybody understands that their money is being spent and invested in a reasonable way. And you trust those of us in the board. Okay, let me introduce the Stourbridge Solar Project. This is one that's been a long road. I think it's actually at this stage longer effort than the original Cooperage project was for this group. We started talking about it probably last winter, winter of 2019, late 2018, when I voluntarily offered to help the commissioners apply for a Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection grant to put solar on the roof of the Stourbridge Center. And at that time, it had an older roof. It wasn't white, it was black, and it was leaking. And they were just about to approve a contract to replace the roof. That grant didn't come through. And so I then went as the president of the co-op to them and proposed a memorandum of understanding in May 2019 to give us the option to propose a solar system on that roof. And in July, I think in August is when we signed it, but we proposed it in July. It was a 25-year power purchase agreement, very similar to what we had with the Cooperage, but to do the same thing on this building. And after we signed the power purchase agreement, we issued our preferred share offering memorandum to our members only. We can only sell preferred shares within the state of Pennsylvania, so people who are legal residents of Pennsylvania and who are already members of our co-op. It is not a public offering, it is a private offering, and those are the restrictions we have to operate within. And we made that power purchase agreement contingent on us being awarded a grant from the U.S. Department of Ag under their Renewable Energy for America program, or REAP. That's the same grant we had successfully applied for and got for the Cooperage project back in 2015. And we had helped both Will-O-Wisp and Anthill Farms get those grants as well. So we submitted that grant on time in in October, and we waited. In the past, we knew pretty much within 3 weeks of the grant deadline whether or not we had received the grant. And this year we did not hear anything other than hold on, we're still working. And apparently this was nationwide. There was some delays in the USDA, and they did not take any action on those grant applications until early this year in 2020. And when the first round was not awarded to us, we were disappointed, but still hopeful. And then in April, we were told that the second round, we had not made the cutoff. There was a lot more competition. And because of the way the grant scoring works, we had previously been awarded the same grant for the Cooperage project. So we were not getting the 5 bonus points to be a new applicant. So between those two things, we were not able to get that grant. So in April, we were quite worried. We were short the estimated $15,000 of the full capital cost of the project. And we couldn't just raise more money through our preferred shares, because that money we would have to be able to pay back. Pay back over 25 years, but still pay back. Whereas the grant would have been basically no strings attached. Well, there were some strings, but not many, and not have to pay them back. So this was a challenge, to say the least. We were worried. So we started doing research. We had heard of other schemes in both the energy industry and in real estate that enabled the monetization of the federal tax credit. For those who are unaware, there is a federal tax credit for solar systems. There's a residential version and a commercial version, and we'd be, of course, using the commercial version. And it's a fairly, I wouldn't say it's a fairly complex, but it was new to us for sure, and required definitely discussion with lawyers and accountants to make sure we understood how it worked and to make sure we could put the legal paperwork together to make sure it would work. So this involves creating a subsidiary limited liability corporation that is the actual owner of the solar array. And it must operate that array for at least 5 years, a little longer actually, 5.25 minimum, in which another investor can join that LLC, put cash into the project as a minority owner, but we can distribute the tax incentives that LLC will receive in a way that other owner gets the majority of those tax incentives. And so that is, in fact, their payback for their cash they gave to the LLC as the investment in it. And they take little or no cash out of the project. So over the 5 years, they'll get back much more than they put in. Well, some more, but very little cash. So that's a way to get that $15,000 of investment without having to pay it back in cash. So we did that. We formed the Stourbridge Solar Project LLC in August, registered it with the State Commission of Corporations, and filed the various legal paperwork, created a new bank account for it. And we identified a local business who would be willing to do the $15,000 in, which makes us feel really relieved, because then we could go back to the county commissioners and say, we found a way to make this happen. And in August, they re-signed the power purchase agreement, or, we canceled the previous one and rewrote the new one, where the owner of the solar array and the owner of the other party in the contract is this Stourbridge Solar Project LLC instead of the co-op. The co-op is still a majority owner of the LLC and is the managing member. So the co-op board will still manage the LLC pretty much the same way it would have if they had owned this, if we had owned the solar array ourselves. To fund the $48,000 from the co-op as the portion that we are investing in it, in that LLC, we closed the preferred share offering we had opened over a year ago, and that resulted in 36 new preferred shares being issued and $36,000 coming into the LLC. In addition, we reinvested $12,000 from funds that we had received as income or principal payments on the prior projects. So that enabled us to have the LLC is fully funded. And in September, it applied for and received a building permit from Honesdale Borough. And the new design for the solar array is there on the page, as well as the building permit. That will fill the roof in the area between the various HVAC systems that are on the roof. This is the roof area beforehand with it empty. We'll fill that space with 83 photovoltaic panels that are extra large panels. I've never seen a panel like this. Baselli found these panels. They're almost twice as large as a traditional solar panel. But that means there's a little less aluminum, a little less everything else to do the installation. And the LLC has already put down a 50% deposit to Baselli, enabled them to order equipment and apply for the interconnection with the public utility. So that's done. And in fact, last week, Blair and the Basellis told us that they have scheduled the installation for November 4th. So the day after the election, they expect to be up on the roof installing the solar system. One of the first steps is to get a good boom truck to lift the panels and everything else that's going on the roof up to there. So that'll happen on the 4th, 5th, and 6th is their plan to get the installation done. There'll probably be some work that overlays longer, but we expect to have a solar system in operation before the end of November. That's where we are. We've got this project going. It feels great to have over 18 months of work in this project. And I'm really looking forward to 2 weeks from now and celebrating it, seeing first light. Okay. That is the introduction to the Stourbridge project. Again, please, if you've got questions, and I see a couple coming in chat, I will get to them after our primary speaker. So I want to proudly introduce a great individual who's been a co-op member from very early on and been supporting the co-op through many ways, but also through supporting her husband who had joined the board. Mike Rowlandson has been one of our co-op board members from the very beginning with me and Chuck. She's a past executive director of Seeds, which of course is the organization that birthed our co-op back in 2014. She's just been elected the chair of the statewide Sustainable Energy Fund across all of Pennsylvania. And she is Wayne County's first female county commissioner. Jocelyn, take it away. Thank you so much.
Hi, everybody. I was trying to unmute as late as possible because my dog is barking at something, so hopefully you can hear me. Thank you very much for asking me to speak. It's actually an honor for me to just say a few words here tonight. And one of the things I'm most excited about is there are names I don't recognize among those that are tuned into the call tonight. So to new friends, I say hello. To old friends I haven't seen in a long time, I'm seeing some of your names here. Hello, hello. And again, thanks for asking me to say a few words. So it's sort of ironic that I am the commissioner saying not sign and approve the solar installation on the Sturbridge project, because I had to recuse myself from that vote as a Clean Energy Co-op member. And at our recent meeting, when you came in and David was there and Chris was there, it was great because it was a step forward on the project, as Jack has explained, has taken an awfully long time. And I think to the incredible credit of all of you involved in the Clean Energy Co-op, you figured out a way to make this work. I want to acknowledge the previous Board of Commissioners too before me, which included Wendell Kay, who approved this project originally last year. And the idea was, look, what we have happening downtown now in Homestead is we have this business incubator, this Sturbridge project. We're all excited about it. We all talk technology businesses in there and other innovations. So why not have some of the most interesting innovation out there in terms of a renewable energy installation? And that was sort of the motivation to approve that. Now at the time, the costs, I think, end up being a little bit better in the refinancing version of it, which I think is very exciting. And this, what I'm most excited about this project, and for those of you on the call that don't know Wayne County well, is, you know, we're a conservative county up here in the northeast corner of the state with a lot of generational farmers and people that just aren't paying it, know about it. So this particular project is going to be incredibly visible and talked about a lot. And the thing that I think will be most beneficial is that people will have this system to look at, to learn from, to have that you know, information that we need, because what remains the number one obstacle for renewable energy is still affordability. And creative financing is definitely getting us leaps and bounds in the state. And Jack, credit to you and everybody on the Clean Energy Co-op for figuring out a way for this to work when that USDA funding did not come through. So when you guys, again, were at this meeting, one of the things we got to talk about is, yep, we got to talk about the solar project, which is great and exciting. And there's no dispute that renewable energy is definitely recognized as a very viable member of our energy portfolio. But one of the things that I will share is just that ground or allies in the community on things. And there are people, again, that aren't plugged into this renewable or sustainable energy concept. And yet there's an incredible element here in our community that is interested in investing locally. And I think the whole local investment vehicle that is the Clean Energy Co-op is going to get an awful lot of attention through this Sturbridge solar installation. And I can't wait till we see the folks that are shopping on Main Street for Christmas every year become those Clean Energy Co-op members. And that's what we need to kind of bring them in. So David, kudos to you for encouraging to bring in members. It doesn't, and think outside the box when you're thinking who you'll approach for this. So if there are people in our community that want to invest locally, grab them, make sure that they're aware of the clean energy and this incredible opportunity that's right here in the community, not to mention all these great projects that they've been working on. Another ally that I would love to find in the clean energy space is WEDCO, our local economic development organization. And we have a business park, the Sterling Business Park on the southern part of the county that is ripe for it. Massive, and they're getting more and more people all the time. How do we compete with that? And I don't think we compete with that by being the same thing, but we could be something different. And maybe someday we'll have a conversation about how we can talk about renewable energy installation there, or high energy efficiency construction or something. But there are definitely allies that want to see that succeed because it's got a different component than any neighboring industrial parks that looks like any other industrial park anywhere in the nation. I just want to give you guys an awful lot of credit for what you've done in these 5 years. And in Northeastern Pennsylvania, again, we're pretty conservative up here, but with seeds and with the Clean Energy Co-op being at the table, and I'm talking about the Wayne Tomorrow table, essentially, being there as advisors to help get CPACE financing approved. We really have incredible opportunities here. So hopefully this installation project will have great numbers to report. And Jack, you are really good at under-promising and over-delivering when it comes to the renewable energy, which I know has been really favorable. He's talking about solar that I never would have imagined would be considering it. So I think there's been an awful lot that's happened. And I think that the CPACE opportunity too, in this economic reality that we're in right now in this year of COVID, I think CPACE will be a lot more favorable than it was previously, because financing continues to be a problem. So please, please, please keep it up. There's an awful lot of residential solar installations in our little county here. There's an awful lot of interest. There's an awful lot of advocates out there. And when there's a will, there's a way. One of the questions I got was, well, what does this mean in terms of solar installations on other county buildings? And I'd love to see that in the future, of course. And the truth is, it's when the numbers work, we'll see a lot more solar happening. But I can't wait to see the panels, Jack. And just have that project there, and to be able to have people come and see it and see the meters. And Seeds, I know, is going to work on an educational kiosk for it. This is huge in terms of reaching people that have not paid attention to this yet, and who will be making decisions about investments in the future. So I'm happy to help in whatever role I can. And I thank you all, and I'm happy to take any questions, but mostly I will be your loudest cheerleader whenever I can, and I'm very, very excited about the project.
Thank you, Jocelyn. It's great. And yes, we're all excited about it. You mentioned CPACE, and some other people have asked about what that is. So that's Commercial Property Assessed Clean Energy. It's a national program that was adopted in Pennsylvania, I think 2 years ago, and by the Wayne County Commissioners last year, before Josh became a commissioner. It's a method by which a property owner can go into debt, but instead of a traditional mortgage or a loan, the payments are made attached to the property tax. And in our county, that's once annually instead of every month. And they're typically paid for in a way that the payment annually is less than the savings generated from the improvement that's made to the property. And that improvement can be a water savings reduction, or a energy saving or reduction, and it can include solar panels or other renewable energy projects on the property. And what's really neat about CPACE is that it goes with the property. The loan goes with the property. So if a business owner installs a clean energy project or a solar array, they go into debt to get that financing. But if they need to move to a new building because they're growing, their business is growing or whatever, the loan stays with the improvement. It doesn't go with their business and be a drag on them as they grow and go to a new property. Instead, the loan stays with the property, and is in that way, the lender is more assured of getting their money back because it's attached to the tax bill. And the business is not forever held back by that loan if they decide to move on. So Joss knows all about CPACE, being a chair of the Sustainable Energy Fund, which is the administrator of CPACE programs throughout Pennsylvania. Wonderful. Thank you. Joss and I were chatting.
And I'll just chime in and say that one of my favorite things about being that, I'm sorry, did you? I was just going to chime in and say, I don't know, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. One of the best things about coming home to Mike every night is that, you know, he's a lender and always looking at things from a different perspective too. When I first heard that a lot of the CPACE loans that were in Pennsylvania for commercial property about just for a need for cash flow. So, you know, if your solar installation is going to save you this much money costs a year and cost you less than what the energy savings are, people were going to lenders saying, I need help with my cash flow. And all of a sudden, there's renewable energy installations as a result of this. So that's again where the future of these renewable energy installations lays, is in this creative financing where it works for people. So it's exciting. It's exciting. We're ripe for lots of opportunities.
Yes, it is. And we may yet be able to figure out a way to get a CPACE project in Wayne County for solar. Yet to be determined. Yet, nothing can be announced yet, but there's definitely work in the works. Jocelyn and I were chatting privately right before the meeting, and we didn't come to a resolution, but we do have some news to share. Jocelyn mentioned WEDCO, and Jocelyn, do you want to announce?
You definitely should, Jack.
Go for it.
Okay. Well, I'm very, very excited that the Clean Energy Co-op has been selected as WEDCO's Innovator of the Year this year. And that is a very big deal, because when I'm talking about visibility and more people understanding really what the Clean Energy Co-op is and what you guys do, you're going to reach people you have never reached before. And that's a very exciting opportunity. And I think that y'all should give yourselves a round of applause for that, because that's a really big deal in our community here. And you'll get a lot of visibility over that. You'll get a lot of press over that. And the challenge will be in the pandemic to make the most of that. But again, I'm happy to help in any way I can. Congratulations to all.
Well, that's wonderful. Thank you. Yeah, it's been a long road. I mean, I remember how we felt back in 2016 when we won a national recognition for the Cooperage Project Award. That was really wonderful. And this feels even better, honestly. It's a Wayne County award, but like you said, I think it'll reach so much more of the people where we see and work with every day. So I'm really excited, and I look forward to that being formally announced in the next couple of weeks. All right. Chris, do you have the election results?
Yes, we had 36 voters, and all three of our candidates were elected for 3-year terms each: Jack Barnett, Jamie Stunkard, and Derek Williams. And we want to give a big thanks to Mike for his service on the board for 6 years.
Yeah, Mike served as treasurer for 5 of those years. And I got to say, Mike, without you, I don't think we would have ever gotten the first project done, a little less 4 of them. You've been wonderful, helpful, and just ask the right questions at every turn. So thank you. All right, we will go on. I'm going to look at the chat. I saw some questions coming in and I saw Chris has answered some of them already. Let's see. Thank you, Joy, for sending in your membership. Look forward to working with you, Jen, on the Exploring a New Chapter framework. Yes, okay, Chris answered the PPA question. Yeah, we only did PPAs for nonprofit locations where the business on the two farms are for-profit businesses. They could benefit from the tax credits themselves. And so we didn't need to own the system. They could own it themselves and get the tax credits. And yeah, all the projects up until this most recent Stourbridge project were partially funded by the USDA REAP grant program. This is the first application we've made that we were not awarded that for. The identity of the other business investor in the LLC is not a secret, but he did wish to not have it promoted. So I don't want to mention his name here in a public forum or in a recorded list, but I would, I think he'd be okay with his name being shared among our membership in private. He was, we asked him if he was wanting to be promoted because we would be glad to do that and promote his business, but he would prefer not. And who is the manufacturer of the extra large solar panels? Well, I'm going to have to look at that to find some other information, but why don't, Jocelyn, could you answer what is the Sustainable Energy Fund?
Sure. The Sustainable Energy Fund is a nonprofit organization that is basically providing creative solutions to renewable energy installations as well. And they service the PPL service area, and their website is thesef.org. And they've been around. They came about as a result of when the electric companies were deregulated and there was ratepayer money tied up and what was going to happen to that. And so 4 sustainable energy funds were created throughout the state, and I've been working with them ever since I worked with Seeds to learn more about what they do. And again, it's mostly a financing organization, not a granting, and there's lots more to share on that, and I'd be happy to talk offline. But just another great example of how we're getting over the hurdles of both education and finance to a cleaner, greener energy future.
Great, thank you. Yeah, and they've got a great staff who have been dedicated to doing sustainable energy, and particularly John and Holly, who are running, supporting the CPACE options and running the, helping all the different counties who are considering supporting CPACE in their region, in their county, and educating them on what it means and how it works, and then following up as administrator in many of those counties. Okay. That's all the questions I have. I was going to look up with the panel manufacturer. I haven't quite found it yet. Any other questions? If you want to come on, unmute yourself and ask the question live, that'd be great at this time.
Hey, Jack, sorry, I typed it earlier, but do you guys have a blurb, like a really short introductory explanation of Clean Energy Co-op that you could, like, members could share on, like, Facebook, like, hey, I'm a member of this cool group. This is what they do. Are you interested?
We have been using the tagline, building community through clean energy.
Building community through clean energy.
That's kind of been our tagline for the last 6 years. It may be needing an update. I don't know, but that's something we do.
I have a question. do you, which counties do you work in? Is it only Wayne and Pike counties so far, or are you more spread out in the Northeast PA?
Yeah, so originally our board, probably the one of the earliest board meetings, said we wanted to define, quote, our community as Wayne and Pike counties. So we've been primarily looking for projects in that geography only. We have at times talked about projects outside that geography, but have never moved forward on any of those. We do have members. Several of them are on the call here today from outside that geography, as well as in New York State and some other states. I'd say about 75% of our membership is Wayne and Pike counties. But yeah, it's just a board definition. The board could look at it and change that definition and expand the geography at pretty much at any time.
So what is your process of choosing a project? Do you purposely seek out projects, or do you wait for someone to come to you with a project?
We've had both. We love for other people to come to us, and we've done kind of a assessment of a location, probably 20 of them over the past 6 years or more. The vast majority of those have been nonprofit locations, but many of them we get to the stage of, okay, here's the rough sketch of what the project would do, how much it would cost, how the terms of the power purchase agreement would work. And in many cases, the host organization, for example, I have talked to at least 3, no, probably 4 different churches. When I talked to their trustees with that information, the general response has been, that's great, we'd love to do solar, but under the terms of this, we'd have to be paying more for the solar energy than we are currently paying to the utility. And that would be taking away from our existing mission. And I totally understand and appreciate that. It's a rare condition where we can help a nonprofit take solar and do it for less than they're currently paying their utility. As most people know, in Pennsylvania, our electricity prices are low compared to the rest of the surrounding states. And in fact, current PPL pricing is 6.02 cents or something like that for commercial meters. 6 cents. That's the lowest price for commercial energy, electricity, since deregulation. So it is hard to compare the cost of solar to that 6 cents, I'm afraid. If the organization has a commitment beyond just the financial one, it's the best way to convince someone to go solar is they already want to be. Good question. Anybody else?
Just wanted to add to what Jack said. I don't know if it was mentioned, but our bylaws, we cannot be doing projects in New York. We're limited to Pennsylvania.
Right.
Hey, Jack, this is Derek. There's a question in the chat from Liz about volunteering with some of the committees. Could you do a rundown of the committees that the co-op has? Good one. Yes, we definitely need help with our committees. So we were going to put this up later at the adjournment, but yeah, we have a project development committee of which I'm the chair. We have an outreach committee. David Persh, who spoke earlier, is the chair. We do want to form a new chapter expansion or expansion committee. We haven't figured out who's going to chair that yet. We have a finance committee. Elena mentioned that. We definitely need support. And we have an audit committee. Chuck Hine is the chair of that committee. We could benefit from members joining any of these committees. It would be wonderful. And I apologize, I have not been able to find the manufacturer of the panels. I want to say it's Axtech, AXITECH, but I may have that incorrect. I'm doing it from memory. It's a 400 watt panel. Any other questions?
I just want to follow up a little on Liz. She asked about not just committee work, but what kind of volunteer work do we ask? And so in some cooperatives, specifically, I'm thinking of food cooperatives, you kind of have a requirement. And we don't have that here, but it is an opportunity for the volunteers to participate on committees or, maybe eventually on the board, but it's not a requirement.
Let's see. All right. Okay, so we are ahead of schedule by a few minutes. So I'm going to officially adjourn our annual meeting. I want to thank everyone for participating, especially the 36 people who voted and others who wanted to vote but then got cut off at the end. We apologize. I especially want to thank again Mike Rowlandson for his service for the last 6 years. He was kind of, if anybody remembers that very first annual meeting, we had to elect our first board. We didn't have enough nominees for the board at that first meeting. And somebody who's currently a commissioner kind of roped her husband into being on the board at the last minute. And we had to write in his name in the write-in in order to get him elected that first time. And it was wonderful. So thank you, Mike. Thank you, Jocelyn. Thank you for all you do, Jocelyn, and as well your speech tonight. I will say here at the end, one of our next steps. Oh, I also want to especially welcome and thank Derek Williams for joining our board this year. I have served for the last 6 years as president of the co-op, and as the current board is aware of, I announced about 6 months ago that I would not be serving as president in the coming year. I have been reelected to the board, so I'll still be very active and lead our project development committee, but I'm going to step down as president, and we'll see in the next half hour exactly who's going to step up, but Chris is the obvious candidate. So thank you, Chris, for stepping into that. It's a big role and a lot of work, but I appreciate you willing and the rest of the board to help me step back from being president so I can do some other maybe bigger things.
Well, just a comment that kind of goes with what Liz was saying. I think in a co-op, everybody kind of does their part at one point or another. So that's sort of how I feel about it. And also, I want to say publicly, I hope that Jack remains the public face of the co-op, because that's what people respect and understand and look up to. So hopefully that'll continue.
All right, thank you. Any last questions or thoughts or comments? All right, great to see everyone, and really appreciate you hanging in there. And we wanted this to be face-to-face. We love doing the face-to-face meetings. As I think Chris mentioned, last year at Here and Now, it was wonderful to have a beer with all of you. So I look forward to being able to do that face-to-face and having a beer with each of you in the coming months, hopefully. Take care, everyone. Thank you.